What's up, guys? We have a fun video for you today. It's the end of the year. 2018 is in the books. It's been a curious, interesting year to many people. Some say it was kind of a letdown this year at the box office. I thought there were definitely some surprises and letdowns, like we always get, and there were some good performances, some not so good performances. There were some sleeper hits. We got the comic book movies, some good animated movies. I would say it was pretty much kind of like a template year like we usually get. There was a bunch of remakes and sequels and all that stuff, and we're just going to talk about, the year in movies. And I'm Anthony with the Silver Screen Analysis. I'm not going to be doing this video by myself. I got my buddy Rama joining me. What's up?
What up, y'all? And what up, Anthony? Thanks for having me on. This is Rama from Rama Screen. Go check out my YouTube channel, youtube.com/ramascreen1. It's exciting to be collaborating with you again, brother, to talk about movies. It's always good.
Yeah, we got the perfect time of the year. It's the end of the year. What did you think of the year overall? Happy with it? Were you let down by it? I mean, a lot of people say that it was kind of disappointing.
2018 is a mixed bag. It's a lot of, some movies that I expected to be good and end up disappointing me, like Dumpling and Welcome to Marwin. And there's not really, like in previous years, when it comes to award worthy, like you kind of get a clearer sense of which two are the front runners, either The Social Network or The King's Speech, or like there's last year there was another two as well. This year it's like it's still anybody's game. So it's been a pretty interesting year.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Some of my biggest surprises, though,
Yeah.
I would leading off with the surprises this year. I would have to say I think it was a great start to the year. I mean, everybody says that like January and sometimes
Oh.
February are like the dumping ground for movies, but it's like I was looking at some of the titles. It's like we had Den of Thieves, which wasn't a great movie, but I mean, I thought it was just perfectly tailored for what it was. We had that movie. We had 12 Strong. Black Panther came out. Annihilation, Game Night, Love Simon, Unsane, Isle of Dogs, Ready Player One. Those were all before April, and it kind of translated into a sort of a weak summer, which was kind of interesting to me. I think last year August was kind of a weak summer month, but I thought June and July was some of those big tentpole movies came out pretty good. But this year it was kind of just there was some good movies, but they weren't those like prototype summer blockbuster movies that really wowed me. And there were some of those, but they kind of let me
Oh.
down a little bit. I mean, you like Jurassic World a lot more than I did. It
Yes.
just felt like some of those big movies that I was excited for just really surprised me this summer by letting me down. Like I was expecting a lot. I had high hopes for The Predators. I had high hopes for the Jurassic sequel, and it just none of them really translated to me. And I felt like the year kind of like had that big rolling out party with some of these big titles, and then it had that kind of lull in the summertime, and then it finished strong again in like October through December.
That's a good point. Yeah, I haven't thought of that. That's a good point. And also, brings up that interesting. Like, I wonder, like, something that came out as early as February, like Black Panther, still has the momentum throughout the whole year, and now it's getting nominated left and right. Whereas, Avengers: Infinity War gets probably stuck in visual effects only category, and
Yeah.
so but they're talking about best picture for Black Panther. That's amazing. It's like we never
Yeah.
thought something like that came out in February would have such an impact. And to your point about Jurassic World and the Predator, and yeah, I totally get it. It seems like after Avengers: Infinity War and probably Deadpool 2, the whole summer mania thing kind of went downhill from that point on.
Yeah. I mean, Solo came out and it was good. It didn't blow my socks off. Yeah, and
Exactly.
it's like some of the movies this summer that were like the movies that I expected to really love were the ones that I either found okay or they kind of let me down. I mean, Sicario 2 was a good movie, but it wasn't as good
Oh.
as the first one. And it was like the surprise movies that really grabbed me, like movies like Searching was a summer movie that really grabbed my attention. Crazy Rich Asians came out, really grabbed my attention. I thought it was also another great summer for comedies with like Blockers and Tag, and Crazy Rich Asians was a rom-com, and Game Night came out.
Game Night is
Um,
awesome. I love Game
yeah, I
Night.
thought it was a great summer for comedies and stuff like that. But then it's like at the beginning of the year, we had the Black Panthers and the Avengers, and then the Ready Player Ones, like those blockbuster movies. Even Tomb Raider came out back then. And then at the end of the year, we had like Mary Poppins and Aquaman and Bumblebee movies come out. It's like it almost felt like the summer was a little bit neglected for those big movies, but I had a good time with the summer for the smaller releases, kind of like movies like Black Klansman and Blind Spotting came out as well.
Ah, that's
Just a lot
right.
of those kind of like sleeper hits came out, and I thought that was very interesting.
Yeah, the probably the one summer blockbuster that stood out for me, after Avengers: Infinity War and Deadpool 2 arrived, I think, was Mission Impossible Fallout. That still
Yes.
is one of my favorite this year. So,
Yeah.
but other than that, I agree with your points definitely.
Yeah, yeah.
It's
Fallout came out. I think that completely surpassed its expectations. It was generally loved. And Incredibles 2 and Wreck-It Ralph were both solid movies. I mean, they came
yeah.
out, they had the hype, they came out, but they don't grab onto me like movies like Mission Impossible and just, I wanted a lot more from Jurassic World. But, so that was just one of the things that
It,
was kind of striking.
it's funny you mention let's delve real quick the animated category. Ralph breaks the internet and Incredibles 2, both of which are sequels, but man, they get blown out of the water by Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. Once that arrives, that one makes Ralph and Incredibles 2 look peanuts to me. Look like peanuts.
Exactly. And that would be another one of those like surprise movies. I mean, I thought I was gonna like it, but I didn't know how much I was gonna like it. And it really
Yeah,
came out and it surprised. That was one of my biggest surprises of the year, I would have to say.
yeah, because the assumption is for us fans it's like, oh my god, another Spider-Man movie. Like how many Spider-Man, it's like another Batman movie. But this one really, really, like you said, surprises me and really knocks my socks off, man.
Yeah, I think it's like one of those animated movies that can really appeal to a mass general audience. I mean, Incredibles 2 and Ralph Breaks the Internet, they got their demographic, and then they always have the Disney fans and stuff like that. But for a person like me that was like, oh, why is this not going to be like a live action movie? And it's like I want to see Miles Morales get a live action movie and do it different, and let's get a different version of the character. But I'm definitely going to check out this animated movie, and then I went and watched it, and it completely just pulled me in and captured like some of that nostalgia from just the comic books and all that stuff. I thought it was just so well done, and like that the whole art style and just the animation style. I can't wait to see how they build on that and some of the tweaks that they end up making. So yeah, there was definitely a lot of surprises. What were your main disappointments this year?
Well, before we get to the disappointments, I also want to say when it comes to surprises, though, there's a couple of movies that, I guess the detach is the word I can use or look for use in this matter. I feel like I'm detached with from everybody else that seems to like these two movies, and I'm talking about Suspiria. Uh, I guess critics and fans generally liked Suspiria. I hated Suspiria, and also Widows. Seems to be seems to be the critically acclaimed. I know you like Widows, and I'm
Hmm.
probably the only person on it who doesn't like Widows. So
Yeah.
there's still there's one or two or three movies out of the year 2018 where I'm like the lone wolf. Everybody else either likes it and I don't like it, or I like it and everybody else doesn't like it. But
Yeah.
just want to point out disappointments. Definitely, uh, Marwen. I was really looking. I wanted that to be an inspirational film, because it's about a guy trying to heal himself, because he has this PTSD going on, and he creates this world, and with the whole mocap performance capture, you this doll-like lifelike creatures. It's amazing, right? In the previews and the trailers, it's like, oh my god, this could be the end of the year movie that really gets to your heart. But man, was that disappointing or what? I was so
Yeah.
hugely let down by that.
And
So
that's kind of
that's so
seems to
good.
be the consensus on that film is like I was so close to checking that one out a couple weeks ago. It got real busy before the holidays. I was kind of hoping for that deep dive. I thought it was going to have some emotional layers, and some people say it just doesn't, put its foot on the gas like it should have.
Yeah, it's such a letdown, man. And the character's too creepy and unlikable, and that's not what you want. If you want a movie to be inspirational, if you don't want people to like stay away from the lead character, you want them to embrace him instead. But yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. I would say one of my disappointments
yeah.
this year,
What is it?
not specifically just like film wise, would be that summer. I was just kind of disappointed in the summer. It's like that's like
Wait,
when I
which one
like
is
to
that?
go
Which one is that?
just the summer movies in general,
Oh, the
just
summer.
the
Okay, sorry,
season,
sorry. I thought you
just
said
the
the title
season
is the
in
summer.
general. I just
Yeah.
I I liked that beginning of the year surge with those movies, but I was kind of disappointed. I mean, the summertime is when it's fun to go out, and you go out with like some friends that don't normally see movies with you all the time because they like to go see those blockbusters, and they're just, other than Mission Impossible Fallout, there was just it didn't grab me. I mean, I was so disappointed in Mile 22. Um, I wanted that movie to really pull me in, and I mean, I love those types of movies. It had so much
Yeah,
potential to be like Den of Thieves, but it didn't. And you're a huge fan of Iko Uwais, and
yeah.
he could do so much better for the film. And I was like, oh, this is his big break. He's gonna have some great action scenes that were just extremely over edited and hyper
True.
cut. And I was so disappointed in that movie. Again, another major disappointment. The Predators. I think we basically share the same notion on both of those films. The Predators, I was just like, what is happening?
No, the thing funny you mentioned Mile 22 because, dude, I'm a huge fan of Peter Berg's previous movies. You know, The Lone Survivor. I even like Deepwater Horizon. I like The Kingdom that he did with Jamie Foxx.
Hmm.
But man, Mile 22 looked like the work of somebody who doesn't know how to make movies. I don't know
Yeah.
what's up with that. It just looks so choppy and, like you said, poorly edited, and like they don't know how to shoot the fight scenes well and give you, give you to see Iko Uwais in his best move. So it's really really disappointing on many fronts.
Yeah, it was. And I dove into a lot of the B-roll footage and a lot of the special features and the press material to kind of look into this movie.
Hmm.
And there was some featurettes where Peter Berg even talked about like this is his first real venture into this type of action, without the big set piece, fight sequences and stuff like that. And then he, referred to like the reliance of having Eco in there, and he brought his whole team in. And for example, like the infirmary fight, Eco and his stuntmen basically choreographed that and did like a mock video of it. And I was shocked to see that like they brought it into Berg's office, and the mock edit of the video was much more seamless and smooth than what we got in the final film, which was kind of shocking.
Hey, I forgot to mention. Sorry to. I just remember now. Another movie that I feel detached from from other people, fans and critics alike, is Fantastic Beasts: The Crimes of Grindelwald. I hated that movie so much with a passion, but everybody else seems to like it. Did you like Fantastic Beasts: The
I
Crimes of
didn't even
Grindelwald?
get a chance to see it yet.
Oh, it was so
No,
boring,
no, and it's
boring,
like that's what
boring.
I heard. It's like the thing's just pulling in a ton of cash, but I mean, the general consensus on it is that it had way too many characters. It didn't
Yeah,
flesh out the characters a little all that well. Yeah, I have a lot of catching up to do on the whole Fantastic
that's
Beasts and
fine.
Harry Potter.
Oh,
But I was
sorry.
definitely curious about it. I love, the production design looks fantastic, definitely. What do you think about going back to the Predators? What do you think about this
Yeah,
news of the alternate endings on the Blu-ray edition? Have you heard that yet?
I heard about it. I haven't checked it out yet. So I haven't checked out the Blu-ray yet. But man, the Predator, it's like you kind of hope you were hoping, at least I was, that somebody who was part of the original Predator, like Shane Black was, that he would know that world. You know, he would be familiar with it. He would know how to actually execute a Predator movie. But man, he let us down, dude. It's like
Yeah,
for a guy who is an alum of that universe. You know, it's like
yeah.
really.
And that was what I had. That was what my hopes were. I was hoping to go into this one and kind of have it see just like let's scale it back a little bit. Let's bring in the scope a little bit, and let's just have a gritty, down to earth action movie. I mean, I think Predator was lightning in a bottle. It was like that, just that time of this, what was it like? We were about maybe just off of like a Vietnam War, maybe 10, 15 years. It was the soldiers, they were all buffed up, they were all oiled up, they're out in the jungle. It's the late 80s. It's like, it's total, bravado cheese. And I think the timing of that movie was just right. I mean, it was simplified. And this one, it tries to add different layers onto the end of it. It brings in other predators. It wove too many storylines for me, and it got kind of silly towards the end. I mean, there were some of this like with the predator dogs and stuff like that. It's like, okay, if you're gonna, I don't know. It felt very much like the dogs from Ghostbusters movie.
Good
So
comparison.
yeah, I was just like, okay, what are we doing with this? And it was like that one
Whoa.
scene where all the characters are basically in the bus, and then you have the Predator running on the top level, and then you have Olivia Munn basically running stride for stride with a Predator. And the Predator's at full speed. I mean, they're basically showing it. And it's like they sacrifice just the rules of the world for just script conveniences and getting cool shots and trying to make it just stylized and flashy. And I just wasn't buying it at all.
No, you brought up a good point. The whole thing with the coming out of the Vietnam War and whatnot, the relevance of the first Predator to the era, and it got me thinking like maybe Predator just doesn't fit with our generation anymore. Just like, for example, like the 2015 Fantastic Four. Remember how bad it was? It got to a lot of people concluded, including yours truly. I'm like, maybe Fantastic Four should just stay on the pages. Maybe it should not be filmed. It's just like it's not filmable. So maybe Predator is already its time. It already came and went. You know what I'm saying? Maybe this doesn't fit anymore. Do you see where I'm getting at?
Oh, absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. I think it just has too much of a reliance on world building and trying to connect it with the Alien franchise.
Mm,
I think had this movie came out and just not tried to build a sequel and just I'm going to do a great independent solo Predator movie. It's going to have a lot of the familiar beats. It's going to just use technology to make things a little bit better. Not too much CGI to still rely on those practical effects and just let's just have one great movie. But then it tries to just incorporate way too much. The less we know about the alien race, the better.
yeah.
Just the mysteriousness around the characters. What's
Exactly.
good? It's like we don't need to see them sending other people down to catch them with their dogs. The less tools, the better. And it was too late. It's this suit at the end where he's like, I hope it's a 42 long. And I'm just sitting there at the end, like, I hope to God it's not a 42 long because I don't want it to fit. I don't want to see anymore.
And then that's a good segue actually to my next film. When you said that the mysteriousness and that's the appeal of it, and that is why I think one of the best movies of the year. That to me encapsulates a summer movie, even though it came out in March, is A Quiet Place. You don't know much about the creatures or the aliens, how they are. There's no power struggle between the aliens. It's just they're just terrorizing whenever you make a noise,
Hmm.
and that's what A Quiet Place gets right is what the Predator does not get right. So
No.
when it comes to your point about the mysteriousness of the creature or the bad guys, I think that's what makes a Quiet Place scary and intense and suspenseful and keeps you on the edge. And I loved it.
Yeah, the unknown lets you fill in the blanks, and the stuff that we fill in the blanks is always a lot scarier sometimes than what people can write for us. And
Exactly.
yeah, what did you think of Bird Box? Speaking of A Quiet Place,
Dude,
maybe not the Bird Box challenge, but just the correlation of the two films being extremely similar. I was like, wow, okay, they didn't even wait a year before they just took out they swapped the senses and gave us another story.
dude, did you see? I watched some of the videos on Twitter of the Bird Box Challenge. They're hilarious, man. Some of them
Yeah,
were pretty dangerous. About what one guy was driving with blindfolded. I'm like,
yeah.
I don't know if I do that. Now, yeah, it got what 43 million views right in one weekend on Netflix.
45 million views. Yeah, it was crazy.
Damn, it is insane. It's and I know, but the thing is, the movie is a big blah, BLAH.
Hmm.
To me, that's like really that's it. This is all you got, and the twist ending is like, oh come on, like it's the most obvious things, of course.
Yeah, yeah.
So, and I think uh there are so many characters in that house, the supporting characters when they were living that house, that I kind of wanted to get to know more of. I feel like
Hmm.
as I mentioned in my review, this looks like something that would have worked better as a limited series instead of just like a something that you just uh, plastered together
Yeah.
as a 2 hour format. What do you think?
Yeah, a nice little 6 episode run, an 8 episode run would have been great. I think they basically were reliant on the familiar faces in the cast. That's what I said in my review. It
Ah,
was like they were reliant
good
on
point.
like John Malkovich's character was extremely generic. We've seen that character done 1,000 times. It's like we've seen the slight comedic relief in there. You got the couple off on the side. It's like all the character tropes were there,
Yep.
and I think they brought in just a bunch of familiar faces, like even with Sarah Paulson with the sister, just to kind of invoke some personality that just wasn't there. I mean, you
Yep.
can kind of just I connected with John Malkovich a lot more than I should have just because he was being John Malkovich, not necessarily because I got to know more about his character. It was just those guys in those character types and I thought it worked. But yeah, I mean, it was good. I definitely think A Quiet Place, as far as like those types of films, was definitely the much more intense and the much more just had me on edge, just feelings of uneasiness. I didn't feel it as much as I was expecting to with Bird Box. I don't think. I think Bird Box was good, but I don't. I definitely think that 45 million is an interesting number that so many people were just pulled into this one. But it kind of shows that maybe people want this type of movie. I mean, maybe it's like fresh. Like the timing off of A Quiet Place was good to where it's like, wow, that movie just it hit gold, and let's just come out with something else. We got Sandra Bullock in the lead, and she's an A-lister still, and let's roll with it and see. We put in a bunch of these other pieces and make a decent movie out of it. I'm curious to see. I mean, it's based on a book, so I'm
Yes.
interested to see what the actual ending in the book was. I have a friend that
Curious
reads
too.
almost everything, so I'm definitely going to pick her brain and see what's going on. But I thought Sandra Bullock's performance was fine. I mean, she wasn't really a likable character. I mean, you name your kids girl and boy. It's just like I don't think it really could get any like less of like ripping the emotion out of it and just making it like you need to have a name so I can refer to you as something rather than you and you too. You know what I mean? Uh, so speaking on her performances, any
Yeah.
performances, male,
Oh
female,
yeah.
supporting, or major roles that really stuck out to you this year?
Well, I'm sure you would agree with me that Rami Malek became Freddie Mercury in Bohemian Rhapsody.
Absolutely.
That really, was that blew me away. And as far as actress goes, I would be really pissed if Toni Collette doesn't get Oscar nominated. The nomination will be announced in a couple of weeks from now. But Toni Collette in Hereditary, man, especially when,
Fantastic. Yeah.
do you remember when that? I don't know if you've seen it, right? So
Uh-huh.
the scene when she pretty much just loses it in the dining room,
Oh,
is it them?
fantastic.
Oh my God! It was just like
Yeah.
so explosive, and so, you could see how raw the emotion is, and it's not manufactured. It's just her
Hmm.
being like up to here. I've had it up to here with you guys. So that's amazing, amazing. So those are the two that kind of stand out. Of course, there's other more, but yeah. What about you?
Did you see A Private War?
Oh, I love A Private War. Yes.
Rosamund Pike just blows. She blew me away with that performance. I mean, I
Yes.
also agree with you on Toni Collette as well. I think she really just made that. She made that movie what it was with the intensity of her performance. But I also agree that, or think that Rosamund Pike did the same. I mean,
Oh,
she just
yes.
disappeared into that role, and I mean, almost like Freddie Mercury did with, or Rami Malek did with Freddie Mercury. She really disappeared into the role of this journalist, and it was like I wasn't watching Rosamund Pike, and that's really just like something that you want in a performance. You want to be just captivated and pulled away, and not see the performer delivering it. And for her to
Yeah.
come on, I think she's just vastly underrated. And I hope to see. She was Golden Globe nominated, wasn't she, for this one?
Yeah, yeah, and
I think so.
I think good point on your part. A great acting is when the actor disappears in his or her characters,
Right.
and I think despite 2018 being a mixed bag, or maybe many of the movies are disappointing, but I think you and I can agree that the performances, overall, and or on a bird's eye view, they're pretty great this past year.
Yeah, I don't. There was not a lot of bad performances, really. I mean, I even think some underrated ones like John Cho and Searching was fantastic.
Oh
I think
yes.
there was a lot of like instances this year where I think performers actually made the most out of a lot of like surface level material in a lot of roles. I think there was a lot of films that had a lot of plug and play character types, and I think there was a lot of performers that really came in and like made the most out of those roles because I mean John Cho coming in and just bringing that energy, that emotion that he had to that was fantastic. I think if he did like a Constant Wu with Crazy Rich Asians, the way
Yep.
she just brought such a charm and just like a authenticity to that role that really made it work. Off the top, even Melissa McCarthy and Can You Ever Forgive Me? That was one where it was like she was completely committed to that role, and I wish that film would have maybe done a little bit more of a deep dive.
Mm.
I think she was nominated for this one for the Golden Globes, but I remember watching that movie and it's like, wow, with the commitment that McCarthy has to this one, this was like the potential role that really could have gone a lot further. I think the film didn't dive into it as much as I wanted to. Did you see that movie?
Yeah, the movie was dull to me, in my opinion.
A little bit.
Melissa McCarthy did well, but the movie was pretty dull. It lost my interest quite a few times. But thank you for bringing that point because um, I was not too blown away by Crazy Rich Asians. You know, it's like to me that's a generic romantic comedy, but it features lead
Hmm.
Asians. I mean, we've seen that trope before. You know, like
Hmm.
like Monster-in-Law competing with your mother-in-law, or like the whole thing with my partner is richer than me, or I'm just an ordinary girl or an ordinary boy. So we've seen that kind of formula or equation before.
Hmm.
But as you said, Constance Wu is the one that carried that film, man. And so, despite Crazy Rich Asians not blowing me away, she blew me away, and I think she deserves whatever nomination she gets.
Yeah, it was still like you said. I agree on that. It was still fun to see her go through that story.
Yeah, exactly,
Yeah, and it
exactly.
was just humorous. It was lighthearted. Did you get a chance to? What do you did the Destroyer with Nicole Kidman?
Oh my God, she's
That's one that I
amazing.
haven't got a chance to see yet, and I have a feeling she's gonna deliver in that one. And I was just curious what your thoughts are on her.
Well, the thing is, Nicole Kidman is one of the gorgeous women on earth, and she's like a living, walking Barbie doll. But to see her, appearing in this way, like a walking dead, like really depressed and frustrated and doesn't look pretty at all, and really emotionally, rock bottom. It's really interesting to see Nicole and in this way, and she pulled it off nicely.
Yeah, yeah. So let's get into some of the
Yeah.
what do you want to talk about first? Like you want to do some, let's see, best pictures?
Oh yeah.
Do some
Let's.
best picture talk. Let's do a quick prediction. What do they got? Let me see if let's change it up a little bit. I got something here real quick.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's
Take your
do a
time.
little bit of Golden Globe predictions now that we've gotten some of our talk out of here. I know you already did some on your channel, but I haven't gotten a chance to, so I'm gonna
That's
use this
fine.
opportunity while I got you here.
Yeah, let me
So we're gonna
get on my screen as well. Yes, I have it
cool.
up.
I can read them to you as well if you
Oh,
need.
okay.
So I
Cool.
got them. So let's first start out. I want to start back at the. I didn't get a chance to watch all the TV talk or all the TV shows. It's just so much to catch up on.
I know.
Um, let's see. Bear with me. So let's go back to this best screenplay.
Mm.
So we got Alfonso Cuarón for Roma,
Yes.
Deborah Davis, Tony McNamara for The Favorite, Barry Jenkins, If Beale Street Could Talk, Adam McKay for Vice, Nick Vallelonga, Brian Curry, Peter Farrelly for Green Book. What's your prediction for that?
This is best director, right?
Best screenplay,
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm
motion
sorry. Best
picture.
screenplay. Well, my in my prediction video, I put my money on Roma, Alfonso Cuarón.
I did the same.
Yeah,
I did
and
the same. I just watched that movie. That really grabbed me.
oh, so good,
Yeah, it has kind of
so
a little bit of
good.
a lull in the second. I guess that'd be the second act. It has a little bit of a lull, but wow, what just an emotionally grabbing movie.
And it's a Hollywood Foreign Press Association, so that you got to count that in too. So
Yeah,
they love something like a foreign film. So and this is one of the best in many years.
absolutely. All right, our next category, we're gonna do best performance by an actor in a supporting role in any motion picture. We have
Yes.
Mahershala Ali for Green Book, Timothy Chalamet for Beautiful Boy,
Okay.
Adam Driver for Black Klansman, Richard E. Grant for Can You Ever Forgive Me, and Sam Rockwell for Vice.
I'm predicting Mahershala Ali. I want Sam Rockwell to win, though. It'll be hilarious if Sam Rockwell win.
Yeah,
but I think my prediction will go to Mahershala. What do you think?
I go with Mahershala Ali as well. I thought he
Yeah.
just delivered a great performance, and I also really think Richard E. Grant was kind of underrated. But I
Mm.
think what he added to that movie, like we were talking about, Can You Ever Forgive Me, was a little bit bland. But I thought
Hmm.
he really did spice it up with his personality as much as he could. I think every time he was on the screen, he really pulled my attention back into it, which I think is really just what you want to do as a supporting actor. You know what I mean?
I agree. I totally agree.
Awesome. All right, so let's go. We're gonna go best director in a motion picture.
Sweet.
So we're gonna go Bradley Cooper for A Star Is Born, Alfonso Cuarón for Roma, Peter Farrelly for Green Book, Spike Lee for Black Klansman, and Adam McKay for Vice.
Well,
What you think?
here's the thing. I want to say that I think that Alfonso Cuarón will go home with the Golden Globe, but the thing is with Hollywood Foreign Press, they love uh, publicity, and they love what's hot and trending at that given
Hmm.
year. Especially with TV show, they always award the freshman shows. The one that's new. So if they want to make the headline by tomorrow, on the newspapers and whatnot, they would give it to Bradley Cooper. But
Yeah.
yeah, right now that's what I think they're gonna do.
Yeah, I would have. Yeah, I agree with you on that one. My personal pick would probably be Quran. I think
Yes.
just the way, I mean, he can frame up any shot and just make it look cinematic and make it
Oh,
look
so
beautiful. And even
good.
and he did without even using any color. It just had it's rich and it was so understated. And I think a thousand directors could go try to duplicate what he did, but without his eye, I don't think it could be done. But I also think there are two major snubs that I had noted
Oh
in
yeah.
my notes here. I think there are two major snubs for the direction. That would be first Christopher McQuarrie for Mission Impossible Fallout. I
Yes.
mean, Tom Cruise does his own stunts, but I mean, Christopher McQuarrie got to get the camera in the right place. He's got to seam all that together. And I thought it was just, it's like the definition of an adventure action movie that's just over the top, but just still real enough to like, you don't need that much suspension of disbelief to see what's happening because you can actually see everything going. I think with just what he had to pull off and capturing those shots, I think I was kind of surprised to not see him get a nomination. Do you agree with that at all?
Yeah, and I think when we get to our conversation about movie moment, I have a favorite movie moment of the year, and it's from Mission Impossible, but I'll reveal it to you soon.
Okay, and my other snub would have to be Carlos Lopez Estrada for Blind Spotting. You see Blind
Ah,
Spotting.
yeah, I've seen Blind Spotting. Yeah,
I think that's a very underrated movie that's not getting a lot of talk. I don't think
I
maybe a lot of
know.
people got to see it, but I thought it was just beautifully framed up. All the different, just the different beats of the story that he incorporates, all the social elements, the gentrification, everything that he weaves in there, just the relationships between the characters, subtle meanings. It's a very when you watch it, it's just a lot of simplified. It's a simple movie when people look at it. You got people just walking around. There's not the difficult the the level of difficulty isn't that high. But I mean, I thought it was just an extremely well crafted film, and I thought his direction was a big part of that. So I was kind of sad to see him not get nominated into that one for sure.
I think Blind Spotting, even though it will not get Oscar nominees or Oscar wins, whatever, that it will become eventually like a cult favorite, a fan favorite. You know, years to come,
Yeah,
fans will love it, just like they do Friday or whatnot.
yeah. I think it's gonna and it'll be able to hold up. Over I think 20 years from now,
Exactly.
a lot of the cues in that movie will still be very relevant to the world that we're living in, to where people can connect with it. So I don't think it's gonna feel dated like a lot of other movies that try to tackle current things. You go 10 years
Exactly.
later and you're like, wow, that really feels dated to the times. But the way it really dives into the stuff, I think it really has some resonance for sure. So, next category is Best Performance by an Actress in a Supporting Role. We
Uh,
have Amy Adams for Vice. We have Claire Foy for The First Man. Regina King, If Beale Street Could Talk. Emma Stone for The Favorite. And Rachel Weisz for The Favorite. Who you got?
um, I forgot what I predicted on. I gotta check out my video again. But I think right now my money would be on Claire Foy for First Man.
Okay.
Um, it's interesting to see Emma Stone and Rachel Weisz competing for for the same category. We'll see about that one. But I love The Favorite. So
Yeah.
if either one of those two wins, I'm still good with it.
And either one of those stick out to you? If you
Uh,
had to do the competition between what they added to that movie, I would probably have to say Emma Stone just because
yes,
she was more of a pivotal player. I
yes,
do think Rachel Weisz really, commanded the scene. She really brought the energy up every time that they had their interactions together because she had a lot of emotional layers and you really didn't know what to get from her. But I would have to say probably I'm gonna go with Emma Stone. I think
yep,
that's who's gonna take it.
I agree. Okay.
That weird charm she had. So I think we probably both agree on this one for the best motion picture. I think we're probably going to go with Into the Spider Verse, but we also have Ralph Breaks the Internet, Mirai, which I never saw, Isle of Dogs, and Incredibles 2.
Yeah, I haven't seen Mirai either, so I'm with you there. Of course, is gonna take it home, man.
Fantastic movie.
This is one of those things where it's a no-brainer. If if they pick Incredibles 2 or Isle of Dogs or it'll be like a big upset.
Yeah. All right, next category Best Performance by an Actress in a Motion Picture, Musical, or Comedy. We have
Ah,
Emily Blunt for Mary Poppins Returns, Olivia Colman for The Favorite, Elsie Fisher for Eighth Grade, Charlize Theron for Tully, and Constance Wu for Crazy Rich Asians. Who you got?
for me, I want Constance Wu to win, but I think they're gonna give it to Emily Blunt. What do you
I
think?
know. Yeah, I think they're gonna give it. I actually kind of want to see Olivia Colman win this one.
Oh, that'd be fantastic.
I thought
Yeah.
she was just so unpredictable with
Mm,
her mental swings, and I thought there was so much depth there that it was kind of a it was a satire of the time period films, but I thought she really was like the most humanized character in there just because of just all the she was the one that had me the most just thinking the most about I wonder where it turned for her. I wonder why she's thinking this and why she's thinking that. I thought
good
she
point.
completely just disappeared into that role. She was extremely intense. She really captured like two different levels of chemistry. She had that one chemistry with Emma Stone, and then she had a completely different relationship dynamic with just a whole nother side of her character with Rachel Weisz. And I thought seeing that swap back and forth between the characters, and then finally kind of the way she grows to kind of love that manipulation that she has over those two people that are fawning over her when the scenes are with all of them are together. I thought it was great. So I would really like to see her win that. I also thought Elsie Fisher was fantastic.
Oh, yes.
She's an extremely young performer. I think she's going to have a great career ahead of her, but I thought she really just brought so much heart and emotion to that movie that really could make it connect to just you naturally love that character. You like that character. You want to see her do good. And I think that is what that movie definitely has its own demographic, but I think with her performance, it could really just appeal to all different kinds of ages for sure.
I agree. And out of the movies that came out of Sundance last year, I want Eighth Grade, Hereditary, and Searching to get nominated for Best Picture. I know they usually have what 8 nominees or 9 nominees, right, for Best Picture every year. So
Yeah.
I hope all three of them get in because Eighth Grade just it floored me, man. And much of that is also thanks to Elsie Fisher's brilliant performance. So mature for her age too. So
Yeah, and very understated role in that one too was the father,
yeah,
Josh Hamilton.
Josh
Their
Hamilton, yeah.
their scene together was just I don't know, really. I don't have kids, but that one really put me into like being able to kind of understand just the troubles and the stresses of being a single father, which was pretty impressive thing to do for a guy like me that has no plans on having kids. I still am trying to grow up myself, you know. So
That's cool.
having just those couple scenes really just be able to pull me in like that, I think he really did a great job with that one. So going into the next
Yeah,
category, we have best performance by an actor in a motion picture, musical
cool.
or comedy. We have Christian Bale for Vice, Lin-Manuel Miranda for Mary Poppins Returns, Viggo Mortensen for Green Book, Robert Redford for The Old Man and the Gun, and John C. Reilly for Stan and Ollie.
Well, I said in my prediction video that because this is Robert Redford's final movie, Old Man and the Gun, I think HFPA will give this honor to him. I think
That's
it
an
might.
excellent point.
Yeah.
I loved his performance in that movie, though.
Mm.
He just was so unassuming and just had that, that old man charm. And
Yeah.
I loved the scenes. Was that Sissy Spacek with
Oh
him in
yeah,
that
this is
movie?
basic. Yeah.
Their scenes together, like especially that first scene, their interactions in the cafe where he's like, "I could tell you, but you're not gonna like me after that." It's
And
like he's so comfortable and calm about it. He's not like really braggadocious about it, but he's not arrogant at all, but he's definitely self-assured and confident and
yep.
comfortable.
It's
And
like
just he's still got that charm.
I mean, I'm jealous watching him, his character and the way Robert Redford plays him. In that, man, I wish because whenever things or the walls start closing in, it seems like you can tell that he kind of worries, but he doesn't look it. He
No,
doesn't look worried. I was like, man, I wish I could kind of fake not worrying like that too.
nerves of
What's his
steel.
secret?
Nerves
Exactly.
of steel. And it was such a unique thing for like those movies because normally like the tension is ramping up and
Yeah.
he's staying pretty calm.
He's just chilling, like riding a horse, like whatever. And the movie actually also celebrates Robert Redford's career. They use footage of his old, movies when he was young, and kind of digitally place his face on. So I think in a way, HFPA is gonna try to like, give him a send off with this one.
Yeah, I completely agree, and that's who I would kind of like to see in there. I mean, I was thinking of that going in. I just watched Old Man and the Gun last week, so it's fresh, and
Hmm.
I thought his performance was excellent. So I hope he gets it. The next performance is a best performance, or the next category is best performance by an actor in a motion picture drama. Bradley Cooper, A Star Is Born. We have Willem Dafoe at Eternity's Gate. Lucas Hedges for Boy Erased. Rami Malek for Bohemian Rhapsody, and John David Washington for Black Klansman.
It's easy. Rami Malek's gonna win it.
Completely agree.
he's gonna win it all the way to the Oscars. I think this is his year. This is one of those instances where it's like the stars align, man. For somebody for Rami Malek to play Freddie Mercury, it's like destiny, and for him to get awarded for that is just it's just meant to be. So yeah.
Completely agree. Because I mean, he did. It wasn't just one aspect of that role. He had to embody the look and the physical appearance, but then you still have that whole other side of being able to have the performance movements, and he really had to sell you in both. It's like, okay, you look like him. Now get on stage, put the microphone in your hand, and see if you're gonna sell it. And I think he completely did, because like when you say you're some movies that detached you a little bit this year, that from
Yeah,
your opinion to the majority, and I would probably have to say mine. Other than his performance and his scenes, I didn't really enjoy Bohemian Rhapsody that much.
that's fine.
It felt like a kind of a true Hollywood story to me, but but at the same time, I enjoyed it because it was very lighthearted, and
Yeah.
it was kind of a celebration of the band. So for that aspect, I wouldn't really call it like a puff piece, but
Mm.
it was definitely super like surface level. I wanted them to dive into a lot more stuff and maybe have it be more of a serious movie. So I don't really want to ding it just because I had expectations of wanting something else. The fact that they didn't go heavy-handed with it, I don't know about the accuracies and stuff like that, because other than some of their main music, I don't know it. But I think Rami Malek, and in his scenes were what got me back into it every single time. Like the story would progress, and then he'd be back on stage. And I mean, anytime he was up there, my eyes never left the screen, and that's what you want in a lead performance. I thought he, again, talking about disappearing into the role. Yeah, I think he did this one. I think he earned it, and I hope, yeah, like you said, I don't really see anybody really taking it from him in the Oscars either. He could take it all the way to
No.
the end.
Yep.
Yeah,
I think he doesn't have a big competition this year. I think he'll get
yeah.
it.
Absolutely. Next category, Best Motion Picture, Musical or Comedy. We have Crazy Rich Asians, we have The Favorite, Green Book, Mary Poppins Returns, and Vice.
For me, I love Green Book. Green Book is actually my number one on my top 10 list, best movies of 2018. Love Green Book. It's not it's a friendship tale. It's heartwarming, and it also deals with racial prejudice, and that's kind of timely and relevant. But it's not preachy, and the whole
Mm-mm.
thing with, like, Don Shirley's like, hey, what do you want me to be? If I do this, then I'm too white. If I do this, then I'm not black enough. It's like you can
Yeah,
tell the predicament that he finds himself in, because he has to keep his reputation to make a living. But then he's like, he gets criticized for not, like,
right.
mingling with the black. So it's a very complicated character, and I love that. It's not just like one dimensional thing. And even for Tony Lip as well. And when he says that I'm a bullshit artist, and then you get to see him being a bullshit artist. When
Yeah,
he's trying to persuade that cop, it's like, wow, Viggo
right.
Mortensen really knocks it out of the park with that one. Very charming. So I think, though, my prediction will probably that the Golden Globes or SFPA will give it to Crazy Rich Asians. But I want Green Book to win.
Yeah, I agree to basically echo everything you just said about Green Book and not get repetitive. Yeah, I mean, just watching them work together was fantastic. Just peeling back the layers of the story and learning more about some of the reasonings behind just the way they feel about things was just so well done. And it, like you said, it wasn't preachy. It wasn't overly heavy-handed, which I don't think kind of weighed down the message. You can really still pull stuff out of that. I actually think they're going to give it to Mary Poppins Returns.
Oh, okay.
I don't know why. I just have a feeling to where it's like I want this one to win, but I have a feeling that they're going to give it to that one.
Well,
I don't know.
here's the thing, though. You gotta, people always kind of praise HFPA and Golden Globes, but you gotta approach it with caution, because this is the same organization, or this is the same awards that categorizes The Martian as comedy. So remember that? And instead of drama, and Matt Damon is so I'm like, they're not really, what's the word I'm
Yeah,
looking for, reliable, or like when it comes to,
credible.
like,
Yeah,
yeah, credible. Sometimes they even like nominated things just so they could get the actors or the talents from that film to come, party with them. So really, this is one of those things that you need to take into consideration when it comes to
yeah,
Golden
yeah.
Globes.
The Martian as a comedy, yeah, it was definitely a stretch. Well, he had to figure out where to go to the bathroom, and then he had to use his own. He had to use his poop as fertilizer. They're like, that's kind of funny. That's enough. We're gonna throw it in there.
So ridiculous.
All right, our next category is a best performance by an actress in a motion picture drama. We have Glenn Close for The Wife, Lady Gaga, A Star Is Born, Nicole Kidman, Destroyer, Melissa McCarthy, Can You Ever Forgive Me, and Rosamund Pike for A Private War.
Oh, see the thing. I was so pissed that Tony Collette did not. I mean, though
Hmm.
Tony Collette got snubbed on this category, so hopefully
Completely
Tony
agree.
Collette doesn't get snubbed at the Oscars. Hopefully, yeah, that doesn't happen. But I think out of those nominees, I want to say because people have been praising Glenn Close in The Wife, even though I haven't seen The Wife. So I'm guessing HFPA probably will give the Golden Globe to Glenn Close. Closest second will probably be Rosamund Pike for A Private War.
That's who I want to win. It's
Yeah.
like basically everything I said about her performance earlier. She made that movie. Thought the movie was well done. It tweaked some of the facts. I went and did some reading up on it. It tweaked some of the things here and there, but I thought it was a real accurate tale of her determination to like bring the word out to people that can't report the stories. And I haven't seen The Wife either, and I haven't seen Destroyer, so I can't really speak on Nicole Kidman and Glenn Close. But I mean, they would really have to come in with a great performance to wow me more than Rosamund Pike did in this movie. So that's definitely who I would pick to
Uh,
hopeful pick to win this.
and also to add real quick that I think Rosamund Pike will win the Golden Globe, even though I'm thinking probably between her and Glenn Close. But the reason being, with the whole Jamal Khashoggi thing, and our president attacking the media. So I think it's very timely, very relevant. I think they maybe HFPA wants to send a message if they award a movie about a journalist like Rosamund Pike in A Private War.
Right, right. Very well said. Very well
Yeah.
said. Last category, best motion picture drama. This is the last one. We have a
All
Black
right.
Panther,
Woohoo!
Black Klansman, Bohemian Rhapsody, If Beale Street Could Talk, A Star Is Born.
Bohemian Rhapsody, man. Bohemian
Yeah.
Rhapsody. I know,
Yeah.
I know. You probably don't. You were not blown away by it, but I think I'm predicting Golden Globes will love Bohemian Rhapsody. I've been hearing if Bill Street Could Talk has been praised left and right. I watched the movie; it kind of put me to sleep. I really don't get it. I mean, I get what the director Barry Jenkins wants to convey. I get what he wants to convey with that movie, but I would say Bohemian Rhapsody is where I would put my money on.
That's where you got your money on, and that's where you think they're going to go too, huh?
Exactly.
Yeah. I still need to see if Beale Street could talk. That's on the short list. I have a feeling they're going to give it to A Star Is Born for some reason. I just have
Ah.
a feeling that it's like, I don't know. I'm not feeling too good about that one, but I definitely think Black Panther should be the one. Uh,
Oh.
I think Ryan Coogler not being nominated as a director is a little bit of an overshadow.
Mm,
I think what he did to this movie is a little bit understated or is not getting the appreciation. Maybe just because he's under that Marvel Cinematic Universe template, and they think that I don't know, possibly he didn't have as much creative control over this film as other directors for independent projects because of the studio involvement. But I think with what Coogler did in this movie is just fantastic. I think the film was great. It just tackled so many different issues and layers, and it just built so much intensity to just all the characters. I know Avengers Infinity War came out. I enjoyed that movie. I think I'll my opinion on Infinity War will change once the second one comes out because I don't really know if it's as strong as a standalone piece as it will be as a part one and part 1A and part 1B. So I think for that aspect, the most strongest film, the most groundbreaking film, the film that just really just made this. I mean, it was a very progressive year in cinema this year with films like Love Simon, Crazy Rich Asians, Black Panther coming out. I think that the movie was just great quality as well. I mean, the effort put into it. I hope it wins just because I want to see not only a comic book movie get some recognition to finally start opening the door to that, that I
mm-hmm.
think it's the perfect comic book movie to do it because I think it's one of the ones that has the most heart and the most culture and the most just it veers from the template but still fits inside everything. And I thought it was fantastic.
No, I agree with you. Like, and especially with your point about, I hope this is the start of comic book movies getting respect.
Right.
Because the last time we came close to that, it got snubbed. The Dark Knight, 2008. And that was when they only had like 5 nominees for Best Picture at the Oscars. So I was like, oh, you gotta give it to the Reader. It's like nobody watches the Reader. so
Right.
and then of course the last time also Heath Ledger won for the Joker. So it's been a while for a comic book movie. So and And I think Black Panther does deserve it. And if it wins Golden Globe, I will still be happy. You know, instead of Bohemian
Absolutely.
Rhapsody, if it wins Oscar, even more ecstatic. And like you said, it's a different kind of comic book movie. It's not the same formula. The villain's motivation is unique and fresh. You know, and uh, and the whole thing with the clash between an unconquered world versus conquered people. So
Hmm.
it's one of those. Whereas Ryan Coogler, digs deep to territories that haven't been tackled before in comic books, at least.
Yeah, absolutely agree. I think it's a comic book movie that I think is not head and shoulders better, but I think it has just head and shoulders more depth and relevance to it than a
Mm.
lot of other comic book movies recently. So I hope it definitely gets that win in that category. I hope it also translates over to some Oscar nominations as well.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see how that goes. So those are basically all the Golden Globe categories. Let's wrap things up with maybe like one or two movie moments this year that stuck out to us to kind of
Yes.
close out 2018. What you got? What stuck out to you on screen?
All right, I'll give you two movie scenes that are my favorite, and of course, this will be spoilers to those of out there viewers of ours who haven't seen these movies. But number one is when Toni Collette was slicing her neck open, going like this, and then you see Alex Wolff like looking at her. She's like floating up in the air. She goes like this, goes
Yeah,
faster and faster, and faster, and then oh my gosh, dude, that
chilling.
is it's like oh, as a fan of horror movie. And I mentioned to my viewers this, like it feels so good to finally see a horror movie that scares me. It's been a while, because
Yeah.
every year we're bombarded with shitty horror movies, Truth or
Hmm.
Dare, My Blue Valentine, what I mean, not, My Blue Valentine 3D, whatever, Bloody
Yeah.
Valentine. There you go. That's what I'm trying. So there's a lot of shitty horror movies every month, every year. For something like Hereditary to finally arrive is like a breath of fresh air. Number two, my movie moment, as I mentioned to you, is that scene when the two helicopters, Tom Cruise and Henry
Oh
Cavill, in each of
yeah.
them, they were falling down that tight rocky space. And then
Uh-huh.
and then the camera is inside Tom Cruise's helicopter, so you
Oh
see
yeah.
what he's seeing. You see
It's
exactly what he's
amazing.
seeing as the helicopter goes down. It's like a simulation thing. I
Uh-huh.
loved it. I love that scene.
Yeah, now I have to rethink my top two, but definitely, I guess you could say, aside from some of the set pieces of Mission Impossible, my two movie moments this year would the
Yeah.
first one would be just the one that just brought me back to being a kid again. That would be Rocky and Drago in the cafe in Creed. The first,
Oh.
I mean, I don't. It was kind of. I was in the theater. It's just like I was sitting up, everybody else was just watching, and I was like, okay, I'm clearly way more into this moment right now than probably a lot of people into this theater, or maybe I'm showing it a little bit more. But just seeing those two characters meet up after all those years in that cafe, I thought the dialogue was extremely well written in that conversation. It said so much without the spoken word, just the way they looked at each other, knowing all the history they had. I thought that was an extremely well done scene, and my other movie moment has to just be the dialogue from Daveed Diggs at the end of Blind Spotting,
Mm.
when he's down in the basement.
He's
I don't
rapping.
want to go into spoilers, but I don't want to go into spoilers on how that impacts the story at all. But I mean, he has a bout of delivery of dialogue that lasts maybe 5 to 10 minutes, about 8 minutes of just what you can really consider to be just flawless dialogue delivery. I
Mm-hmm.
don't remember. I mean, he's eloquent and just so well stated and just so nicely timed with his personality throughout the whole movie, and that just goes off like a firecracker. I had goosebumps. I was completely riveted in on that moment. I don't even know if I blinked while I was watching it. So I would definitely have to say just the way it was written, the way it was delivered, the way it was set up was just everything that movie needed. That's a scene right there where I think you need to like this is why I watch movies. Like,
Mm.
sometimes you're like, oh, this is why I like action movies. Is like Die Hard is why I like action movies. But, like scenes like that at the end of Blind Spotting are why I love movies because it just completely captured my imagination. I wasn't thinking about anything else. I was completely hanging on every single word, and I think it was just a fantastic moment.
And quick question before we wrap up. So, did you feel like we were cheated out of, or maybe kind of like, oh, you were hoping for, in the diner scene when Ivan Drago and Rocky Balboa meet? Do you think they should have probably like swing some punches towards each other?
No. I saw the
Like,
B-roll
oh,
footage. I saw the B-roll footage online, and there is some fight scenes between them that got
oh,
cut.
really?
Yeah, you
Okay,
should
I
go
didn't know
check
that.
out. You should go check
Okay.
out the press releases. There's some B-roll footage in there that
Oh
shows.
man.
There's a scene. I'm trying to place where it was at. I think they're in the hospital. I think they had to have cut it after the scene where Rocky goes to see Creed after he goes into the hospital,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
and it looks like they're out inside the lobby. And because he's wearing Stallone's, well, it's kind of hard. Rocky's wearing the same clothes basically from start to
yeah.
finish when he's not in the ring. But yeah, Drago is in that building, and there's like a little couple punches thrown, and they had to get separated. So it's not it's raw,
Really?
but I would go
Okay.
check it out. And I was
I
kind of
love that.
cool. It's kind of cool to see it as the B-roll footage. I'm not sure I would have wanted it in the movie. I
Okay.
don't know. I'd have to see how it was worked into really say. I guess I'd be undecided on that. I really like the fact that this is Creed's movie and Rocky and Drago in that scene was just I thought tastefully done. It had me wanting a little bit more, but I was still satisfied by what I got, and I got to go see the B-roll footage of them fighting still, so it still kind of counts.
I agree,
It's
brother.
like
I agree.
I haven't seen it since after I watched the movie, so I think it'd be kind of interesting to go back and watch that footage they shot. It's probably on YouTube too, of, like some of the extras of them having a little a couple punches are thrown. So they
See,
they definitely did put it into the script a little bit, and then somewhere along in that post production, they're like, maybe we should just dial this one back and let the old guys just kind of work on the outside of the ring and let the young guys fight inside the ring.
sorry, one more thought. Relating to movie scene, one of my favorite movie scenes of all time, because it has to do with because we talked about Apollo Creed and Creed's dad, and also we talked earlier about the Predator. My favorite movie scene is when Arnold says to Dylan, "You you son of a bitch," and then that manly handshake.
Yeah, that was a classic. That was a classic. You know what we need to do the next time that we meet up and cover an event together? We need to reduplicate that with
Yes,
our normal man arms,
let's
and
do
then we'll do the meme side by side. Rama, you son of a bitch.
it.
And it's like, okay, when are they gonna start flexing? I'll bring the baby oil and we'll get it done.
I'm in, brother. Count me in.
So I think that's pretty much it. We covered the year. Do you want to just end it out? We got a couple more
Yes.
minutes with one thing you're excited for in 2019.
Yes, I am signing up for this dating website. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
Yeah, one thing that you're excited for this movie season.
The
We gotta
movies. I
work.
got
Yeah,
nothing too personal. Okay, one of my most anticipated movies. Of course, on everybody's list is Avengers Endgame. But not my top three is Avengers Endgame, Toy Story 4, and Star Wars Episode 9. Everything else follows after that. Captain Marvel, Rocket Man, The Lion King, Hellboy. But yeah, those are some of my favorite anticipated movies. My most anticipated movies of 2019. What about you?
yeah, definitely have to agree with you. I have to agree with you on Endgame, just to see how that's
Oh,
all going to wrap up. I'm so
yes.
curious on how everything's going to work. I'm just extremely curious about the Joker standalone movie with
Oh
Joaquin Phoenix. I just watched
yeah.
Sisters Brothers the other day. Joaquin Phoenix was fantastic in that movie. I can't wait to see what he does for Joker. And I can't keep up anymore. The Irishman, is it next year? Is it 2020 now? But if it's
I
on
don't remember. Yeah.
2019, I'm excited for it. I don't know. They keep pushing that movie back. Could be 2022 by the time it finally comes out. But yeah, seeing all those heavyweights and the mafia organized crime drama just come back and younger versions, older versions, who knows? I'm just excited. But those are definitely
Hellboy?
worth it.
Hellboy? No.
Curious about it. Curious about it. Hellboy, I really liked Hellboy because of Ron Perlman. I wasn't
Yeah, me
super
too.
fascinated with the character. I think it was his performance as it that really pulled me into that because I thought the first two films that they've had were fantastic. I enjoyed both of them for what they were. I'm interested to see if Harbour can really continue on that same interest in the character, you know?
What's funny is that the month of I think May, June, July, you get three live actionized version of Disney animated classics with Aladdin,
Hmm.
Dumbo, and The Lion King. Back to back.
It's a Disney year. We got to start getting used to that now that the Fox merger is over. It's like they got Star Wars, they got the Marvel movies
No.
coming out, they got all the remakes, the live adaptation remake. It's their year. They got some animated movies coming out. It's probably going to only get worse as we continue from this point.
I agree, brother.
Cool, man. Well, I had a good time. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Don't forget to check out Rama at Rama Screen. Kicking it with Rama Live Sundays, 3 p.m., right?
3 p.m. PST. Yeah, exactly.
Yep. Get off and get ready to do some Golden Globes coverage and watch and see how our picks transpired. I know you did some of this stuff on your channel already, but thanks for sitting down and talking movies with me. I wanted to get your opinions, and we'll have to do this next year and see what 2019 brings.
Always a pleasure collaborating with you, brother. You are a fantastic YouTuber, and I follow you.
Thank you
Keep
so
doing
much.
what you do, my friend.
You as well, man. I appreciate it. Appreciate it. It's been a great time. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. This has been the 2018 year in movie wrap up and recap. Catch you guys next time.